Monday morning, December the 22nd. We're almost there, are we not? Hope you're getting on with what you want to get on with ahead of the big day. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin O'Neill, and we're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. A lot to get through this morning. Sheffield United, something of a revival going on there, Simon. I've had a really interesting chat before the show this morning, which we've recorded, and we'll play it to you, with Chris Wilder, who's,
as expected,
who's doing amazing things there.
I'm surprised, actually, for Chris, that it took him a little bit longer. I think I told you, I sent him when we were up in Scotland with Chris Boyd, I sent him a text saying, are you actually going to win a bleeding game? And they've gone on and they've done exactly what Chris Wilder does. And, you know, whilst he and I have had differences of opinion in the past, those differences have evaporated. I have a healthy respect and a regard for the job he does at Sheffield United, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And they've just smashed Birmingham, who people were thinking were a side that were on the up and up. And that's no mean feat to have come from where they are to where they're going. And they can still do what we did at Palace in 2003-04, what Roy Keane did at Sunderland, that get teams in the bottom three at some part of the season, put them in a playoff spot. I wouldn't put it past him.
No. He's, as he put it to me this morning, trying to get it to be a Sheffield United team that I can identify with, that I recognise. Really interesting chat. You're going to hear that later on this morning. You heard Martin and Simon before we hit the first break, and as soon as we go into the commercial break, Simon turns to Martin and says, I wasn't happy with that answer. What were you not happy with?
It wasn't an answer. I got lost in a Bermuda Triangle of historical events about what you would do in this situation based upon what happened with players 15 years ago.
Welcome back,
What I wanted him to do was say, this is what, if I'm now confronted with today, I've lost Isak, I've got a team that's expected to win against high-pressure environments of Liverpool fans, and I've got a player that said things about the management that he shouldn't have said. What am I doing? Am I going to suck it up and play him and get on with it, or have I got to do something else?
What did you specifically ask him? For those who maybe are just tuning in now.
What would you do?
That was a long-winded question, anyway. Never mind anything else.
I had detailed text.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So you could follow
and where
through.
did the Bermuda Triangle come into it?
But so I got lost in it. There was no outcome.
Yeah, well,
there was nothing in it for me.
Sorry, I thought you meant literally Bermuda Triangle. But anyway,
that's where I go sometimes when I listen to you. Answer, please. What would you do?
Brilliant.
You're confronted with Salah. You've lost Isak, and all of a sudden now you've got to make a decision. What would you do?
I'll tell you exactly what I would do. First of all, Salah went public on a comment and saying that his relationship with me, the manager, has gone. When me, the manager, didn't know that it had gone. He just and wasn't talking to him every single day. Sometimes that happens in the game. So then he lost his position. Promises were made to him, and they weren't kept. Like whatever they were, whatever they were,
or weren't.
All of these things here, and he's been thrown under a bus. I would be apoplectic about it, as I said last week. I would be, and I would be demanding an apology from him. Right, first of all, with me, and secondly, in front of the rest of the team.
And if he didn't give one,
he doesn't play.
Irrespective of the circumstances and the pressure and expectations.
Irrespective of the circumstances.
Irrespective of the fact that Isak's not available.
Circumstances. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know, this is the point. A way back, and sometimes you regret at leisure about things. League Cup final. I had a situation here for one of the players. League Cup final, day before, didn't turn up for a meeting, and I sent him home, and he might have saved the game for us against Tottenham Hotspur in the League Cup final.
Where was this? When you were where?
It was when I was at Leicester City.
Right.
And these are the points. So you think about it afterwards, and you think, well, did I potentially give up a winning final for losing the game? And I thought, no. Wonder what the lads would have thought about it. And I think most of them agreed that we knew what time the meeting was going to be at, and it didn't materialise.
So you'd expect the board to support you on that. And so we get into the January window and they say, listen, you've got to play Salah. We'll get rid of him in the summer. We'll deal with him in the summer. You say, no, I'm not going to have him. You get a Champions League game coming up in February, you get knocked out of Champions League, lose hundreds of millions of quid.
Well, okay. Well, I'll tell you something now. If I would be expecting the board to be going to Salah and telling him to
apologise. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. Again, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, we await the outcome of that injury. We await what the actual impact is regards how long Alexander Isak will be out. Aston Villa beat Manchester United, Martin. I watched it. How believable is this title tilt from Villa, do you think?
Well, they're in the mix now. They've got the points on the board. They've won a game where they were outplayed in the first half. and those type of games that you can win, and they've got individuals who can win football matches for you, and that's a healthy sign. Do they have the squad size? I don't know, but this time last year, when it came to January, they strengthened with a number of loan players that almost got them through against PSG in the Champions League. Yeah. So they would probably need to add a few players in January, even big loan players if they can get them. And they're definitely in the mix.
I mean, Simon, it could well be that something is on for Villa when you look at what they're doing. They continue an incredible run, 10 successive wins in all competition. It's their best run since 1914.
Yeah, it's great. It flies in the face of all the observations about Emery at the beginning of the season, and it flies in the face of their recent form up until about the last 4 games where they weren't scoring many goals. So they've hit a real momentum. After 13 games, they'd scored 16 goals in the league. That's now changed. Overnight, it's changed. I mean, last January, yes, they did strengthen, but they lost the kid going to Saudi Arabia, didn't they? Duran, who I thought was a very good player, but seemingly didn't have the right attitude because he felt the money in Saudi Arabia was more important than perhaps the opportunity of playing in the Premier League. That tells you something about the player. Look, he's a great manager. You look at it and you think it would be great for Aston Villa. It's a club that I hold in the highest regard. I knew Doug Ellis very well. I liked him a lot. I grew up at that time when the Dennis Mortimers and the Peter Withs were winning European Cups for Aston Villa in 82. And you look back at that club and you think it's a great club. It feels that this is Arsenal's time because it feels they've got a bigger and better squad with more depth. And when the muck and bullets start flying in around February and March, it feels that maybe, unless Villa are going to go hard, and the difficulty for Villa was the reason why they go down the loan route is because PSR challenges bite their backside, and they can't just do what perhaps an Arsenal can do because Arsenal's turnover is 500 or 600 million quid. They've got a different dynamic than Aston Villa, so they're not caught by PSR as quickly and as easily as Villa have been. So it feels to me that Emery is turning water into wine, and how long that stays, I don't know. But what it does do is it adds a different conundrum to the title race because it makes Villa, the outsiders, look like they're competing for a Premier League title, which means that there isn't just Arsenal and Man City sauntering to an eventual outcome.
Yeah, I mean, so is it a 3-way title race, Martin, but name only, or are they legit challengers?
Well, it's got to a stage of the season here where they can consider themselves challengers for it.
Yeah.
And if you go 7 or 8 consecutive wins in the Premier League, that takes some doing.
Sure.
That takes some doing.
Next 2 games we'll know a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chelsea and Arsenal. But it's quite incredible. 7 wins in a row for the first time in 36 years. And maybe, I mean, Simon mentioned him. Of course, Unai Emery has got so much to do with this. But maybe typically as well, he played it down.
To be contender in front end is our realistic way. Is not. We are not contender. We are here because we are really competing fantastic. The players, they are really focusing each match with the demand we are trying to set, and as well being consistent. But we are not contented to be there.
They're contenders, Martin, if Morgan Rogers keeps scoring, are they not?
Oh, is it
7 goals in 17 games, 3 assists?
Yeah, terrific footballer. Really, really good player. So strong, great runner with the ball, and the goals he scored yesterday were just testament to his ability.
Is he cementing himself, do you think, with the World Cup in mind as England's number 10? Because there's competition for places there.
Oh, what big competition. Really big competition. You're talking about the number 10.
Yeah.
So they've got about 4 or 5 players there that could drop in very, very easily into that. I suppose it depends on whether you keep the form going between now and in the summertime. But yeah, he's top-class player.
Let's hear from Villa fans this morning then. I mean, it is a run that really makes you sit up and think, yeah, what are they capable of? Maybe winning this Premier League. You would think they have to be considered as serious title contenders. It is quite an amazing run. 7 league wins in a row for the first time in 36 years. 10 successive wins in all competition. Their best run since 1914. Is this thing on, Villa fans? Did you leave the hot end yesterday thinking, yeah, we can do this? Give us a call. 03717 223344 81089. It's 10:30.